It was one of those afternoons that leaves supporters with mixed feelings. The result says everything went according to plan, but anyone who watched the match knows it was far from comfortable. Rangers managed to secure the victory against St. Mirren, and in a season where every single point carries enormous weight, that is ultimately what matters. Still, performances like this always spark debate among the supporters, because while the 3 points go into the table, the display on the pitch raised more than a few questions about where this team currently stands. From the opening stages of the match, the game never really settled into a rhythm that suited Rangers. Possession was there at times, but it rarely translated into genuine control of the match. The tempo felt slow, the attacking movements lacked sharpness, and too often the final ball simply was not good enough. It created a sense of frustration throughout the game because there were moments where it felt like the team was just one decisive pass or one clever movement away from opening things up, but that moment rarely arrived. The goal that eventually separated the sides was a reminder of what this team can produce when things come together. The move itself was simple but effective. A clever touch into the area opened up the opportunity, and the finish that followed was taken with real composure. It was the kind of moment that shows why individual quality can still decide tight matches. When chances are limited, you need players capable of producing that one decisive action, and in this case, it was enough to get Rangers over the line. Despite the goal, the overall attacking display never quite convinced. Rangers struggled to create sustained pressure in the final third, and that lack of cutting edge became one of the biggest talking points after the final whistle. The team reached dangerous areas at times, but too often the delivery into the box failed to threaten the opposition defense. Crosses either failed to find a target or were easily cleared, and through the middle there simply was not enough movement to disrupt the defensive shape of St. Mirren. There were opportunities that could have made the afternoon far more comfortable. A powerful effort from distance forced a very good save from the goalkeeper, a reminder that sometimes the best way to unlock a stubborn defense is simply to test them from range. Yet beyond that moment, clear chances remained surprisingly scarce. For a club with ambitions of competing at the very top, games like this highlight how important efficiency becomes in front of goal. Part of the problem came from the wide areas. The wingers had moments where they found space, but the final decision often let them down. Instead of driving directly at defenders or delivering early balls into dangerous areas, the play frequently slowed down. That hesitation allowed St. Mirren to regroup defensively, making it even more difficult to break them down. When a team sits deep and stays compact, quick and decisive attacking play becomes essential, and Rangers simply did not show enough of that throughout long stretches of the match. One of the younger players in the side experienced one of those afternoons that every developing footballer eventually goes through. There have been matches where he has looked lively, confident, and full of creativity, but this time things just did not quite click. His touches were heavier than usual, the timing of his runs was slightly off, and the influence he normally brings to the attack never fully materialized. That inconsistency is part of the learning curve for young talents, but it also shows how much the team sometimes relies on flashes of inspiration from individuals. Defensively, however, there were positives that deserve recognition. The backline looked organized for most of the afternoon and dealt well with the limited threats that came their way. The center-backs in particular showed good awareness, reading the game effectively, and stepping in at the right moments to break up attacks before they could develop. In matches where the attacking play is not flowing, defensive stability becomes even more important, and in that sense Rangers did enough to keep things under control. In midfield, the balance of the team sparked some debate as well. There were moments where two players seemed to drift into the same areas, which made the build-up play feel slightly congested. Instead of offering different options, the movements occasionally overlapped in a way that reduced the fluidity of the attack. When that happens, it becomes harder to progress the ball quickly through the center of the pitch, forcing the team to rely more heavily on wide play. Even with those frustrations, there is a simple truth that cannot be ignored. Winning when you are not at your best is often what separates strong teams from the rest. Throughout long seasons, there will always be matches where the performance is far from perfect. The key is still finding a way to collect the points, and on this occasion Rangers managed to do exactly that. It might not have been pretty, but it kept the momentum moving forward. Looking ahead, however, the team will know that performances will need to rise when facing stronger opposition. Matches against sides competing in the upper part of the table demand far greater sharpness, particularly in the attacking third. Opportunities become even rarer in those games, which makes clinical finishing absolutely vital. If Rangers want to maintain their push and stay competitive at the top, improving that cutting edge will quickly become one of the main priorities. For now, though, the discussion continues among supporters and analysts alike. Some will focus on the positives of securing another victory, while others will highlight the areas that clearly need improvement. That contrast of opinions is part of what makes following a club like Rangers so intense, because every performance is analyzed from every possible angle. What everyone can agree on is that this squad still has work to do if it wants to reach the level many believe it is capable of achieving. As the match went on, another issue that became increasingly noticeable was the lack of real presence in front of goal. Rangers worked the ball into promising positions at times, but when it came to that final decisive moment inside the box, the movement simply was not there. Strikers are judged by goals, but even before the finish comes the instinct to be in the right place at the right time, and too often that instinct seemed to be missing throughout the afternoon. The partnership up front has become one of the most discussed areas of the team. On paper, it looks like a combination that should offer physical presence, work rate, and the ability to stretch defenses, yet in practice it rarely looks fully coordinated. Both forwards clearly put in the effort. They press defenders, they chase loose balls, and they try to hold possession when it is played into them. But football at this level demands more than just effort. It requires understanding, timing, and complementary movement, and that connection has not quite developed. One of the main problems is how often both strikers make the same run at the same time. Instead of creating space for one another, they frequently drift into identical areas of the pitch. When one drops deep to receive the ball, the other often does the same, leaving the penalty area empty. When the moment calls for one forward to stretch the defense and run in behind, both sometimes drift wide instead. It creates situations where promising attacks lose their structure before they even reach the final phase. In modern football, especially when playing with two forwards, there needs to be a constant rotation of roles. If one player comes short, the other pushes forward. If one drifts wide to pull a defender out of position, the other attacks the central space. That balance is what creates confusion in opposing defenses. Right now, Rangers are not consistently producing that dynamic movement, and it allows opponents to remain organized far too easily. There was also a moment in the match that summed up the frustration many supporters are feeling. The ball found its way into the danger area, almost on the goal line, in a situation where it looked easier to score than to miss. Somehow the opportunity slipped away. Those are the kinds of moments that can haunt a team in tight matches. At the highest level, games are often decided by one or two chances, and failing to convert those opportunities can make the difference between a comfortable afternoon and a nervy finish. The wider concern is not just about one missed chance or one difficult game. It is about the broader picture of where the goals are coming from. Over the past seasons, Rangers had attacking players capable of consistently delivering in front of goal. That reliability meant that even in tight matches there was always confidence that someone would eventually produce the decisive moment. At the moment, that certainty feels less clear. When you look at the current squad, there is a growing sense that the responsibility for scoring might need to come from different areas of the pitch. Midfielders stepping forward, defenders contributing from set pieces, and wide players finding moments of quality could become essential if the team wants to maintain its push throughout the season. It would not be the first time a successful side has relied on goals from across the squad rather than from a single dominant striker. In fairness, the effort from the forwards cannot be questioned. They battle for possession, they compete physically with defenders, and they rarely stop running. But football is ultimately measured by outcomes, and strikers at a club with Rangers' ambitions are expected to deliver consistently in the final third. Until that happens regularly, the debate around the attacking options will continue to grow louder. Beyond the individual performances, the tactical side of the game also drew attention. During the second half, there were repeated instructions from the touchline urging the players to press higher and close down space more aggressively. At times, the intensity simply was not there. When the press is slow or uncoordinated, it allows the opposition to move the ball comfortably and settle into their own rhythm. That lack of urgency can turn matches into far more difficult contests than they need to be. There were moments when Rangers appeared slightly stretched, with gaps opening between the lines. When the midfield sits too deep and the forwards remain too high, the connection between defense and attack becomes disjointed. The best teams maintain compactness, moving as a unit and ensuring that each line supports the other. Achieving that balance consistently is something the team will need to improve as the season progresses. Despite all of these discussions, the reality remains that the squad still showed enough resilience to get through a difficult afternoon. Matches like this test the mentality of a team just as much as they test tactical quality. When performances are not flowing, players must rely on discipline, concentration, and determination to grind out results. Rangers managed to do that, and those types of victories can quietly build confidence within a dressing room. At the same time, everyone involved with the club understands that this group is still evolving. There are players developing, roles being adjusted, and ideas continuing to take shape on the pitch. No one would claim that the team is the finished product yet. There is still a long road ahead before the full potential of the squad is realized. As the season moves forward and the fixtures become more demanding, the level of performance will naturally come under greater scrutiny. Supporters will expect sharper attacking play, clearer chemistry between the forwards, and a more consistent presence in front of goal. Those improvements will be crucial if Rangers want to maintain momentum and continue pushing in the most important matches that lie ahead. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications to get all the exclusive news about Rangers FC. Don't overlook any details about your beloved team. It's crucial for Rangers FC fans. In a twist that has set tongues wagging across Glasgow and beyond, word has emerged that NICOLAS RASKIN has announced his departure from Rangers FC, sparking a flurry of speculation about what comes next for the Belgian midfielder. While the club has yet to release a detailed statement, the player's own confirmation has been enough to ignite debate among supporters and pundits alike. Raskin arrived at Ibrox with the reputation of a combative and technically sharp presence in the heart of midfield. During his spell with Rangers, he became known for his energy, tidy distribution, and willingness to battle in the engine room. For many supporters, he represented a new generation of players capable of driving the club forward during a period of transition. That makes the news of his departure all the more surprising. Sources close to the situation suggest that interest from several clubs across Europe may have influenced the decision. Though nothing concrete has been confirmed, whispers around the Scottish game hint at potential suitors keeping a keen eye on the midfielder's availability. Given his age and profile, it would hardly be shocking if teams from larger leagues were eager to secure his signature. Within the Rangers' support, the reaction has been mixed. Some fans fear the loss of a dynamic presence in midfield, while others believe the club could reinvest in new talent if a significant offer is involved. At a club where expectations are permanently high, every transfer move is examined through the lens of ambition and competitiveness. For Raskin himself, the decision appears to signal the start of a new chapter. Whether the move leads to one of Europe's top competitions or another ambitious project remains to be seen. What is certain, however, is that his announcement has opened the door to a wave of speculation that shows no sign of slowing down. As the rumors continue to swirl around Ibrox, the only thing supporters can do is watch and wait. In football, departures often come as suddenly as arrivals, and in this case, the next step in NICOLAS RASKIN's journey has quickly become one of the most talked about stories surrounding Rangers. Greetings, fans. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, as it's greatly appreciated by Rangers FC. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments section below. Until the next video, stay tuned.